Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages, that's ridiculous. Welcome back to the S3 Magazine podcast. I'm Mike Sanders. That's Jonathan Woolley. Today we're going to talk about the Rimac Nevera, which apparently had the massive headline of breaking 23 world records in a single day, which I don't know how to feel about. I'm looking at it right now, and it sounds really impressive, but I'm looking at the list, and it also just looks, I guess repetitive is the only word that really comes to my mind. Very, very repetitive. Every damn record on here, it's all 0 to 60, 0 to 100, 0 to 200 kilometers, 0 to 300 kilometers per hour, 400 kilometers per hour, 100 to 200, 200 to 300, 200 to 250. And then it's all braking stuff. So it accelerates really, really hard, which all EVs do, and it brakes really, really well, which is actually, I feel like that's the more impressive one, just because for the most part, EVs are really stinking heavy. So I'm actually way more impressed by the braking records than I am the acceleration records. Anyway, you spent a hell of a lot more time on this article today than I did, so let me know what you think about it.
Yeah, no, I didn't. I just copied and pasted. First of all, how the hell do you pronounce this company? Rimac?
Rimac Nevera.
Sure, maybe. If you guys haven't heard of it, don't feel bad, because I really hadn't heard of it either, because I quit paying attention to hypercars and supercars when they all started being the same thing with different bodies on them, more or less, when they all started getting owned by Audi and Volkswagen. I'm out. So I don't pay attention to this. This is, as far as I know, an independent manufacturer, though. They're out of Croatia, which is weird. They're putting Croatia on the map. And yes, they made big news today because they set 23 performance records. Now, this is Rimac, something like that, Nevera. It looks like every other hypercar, more or less. It's full EV. That's their bag. That's what they do. And the records, I mean, damn, the records are impressive. Like, not gonna lie. For 0 to 60, 1.74 seconds. Like,
Super
0 to
fast.
60, can we just say that's obsolete? like it's getting too fast. The number doesn't mean anything now. I saw somewhere that I think it gets to 60 miles an hour in like the distance of a basketball court. That number kind of hit me. Like that is blinding acceleration.
That's got to be, if you think about the traction side of it, that is like, in order to do it in such a short amount of time, that is like zero wheel spin at all. That is like just get and go.
Yeah, I was thinking about, I was at red light in my Jeep today, and I was like, God, think about the axles. It's like the forces on this thing. Anyway, I figure, I'm not trying to take away from this car because it's an EV and hate on it. So we'll talk about the good, because there's a lot of good. And then we'll talk about what we don't like, just in case you're listening, like this isn't all going to be, whatever. But I'm trying to, what they were most proud of was their 0 to 400 kilometers back to zero. So starting from a stop, go to 400 kilometers, which is 248 miles an hour.
Yeah.
Damn fast. And then back to zero from 248 miles an hour, like threshold braking back to zero. This car did it in just under 30 seconds, 29.94.
Yeah.
Insane. 30 seconds.
That's
will
really
not warm up your food in the microwave. And this thing goes from 0 to 248 miles an hour and then back to zero.
Yeah.
It probably used all of its range doing it, but hey, so does the Bugatti. Like all this top speed stuff is BS. You know what I mean? Like when you're pushing the car this hard, you're going to kill the range just like you kill miles per gallon. Quarter mile, 8.26. That number should mean something to people. But again, the numbers are becoming obsolete. So let's go to half mile, 12.82. Fast. That's fast. We've done half mile stuff. When you're sitting at the start, that half mile is a long way away.
Yeah. Back to the quarter mile, do they tell you anywhere the mile an hour on that by any chance? Or is it just time?
No.
8.26 seconds.
And normally, your typical EV starts hard starts fast, just like an electric golf cart does, and then plateaus. If you ever watch an EV do a half-mile run, they're not doing that great. Maybe a Plaid, maybe, I don't know. But you know what I mean? Like, they start off hard and they hit a freaking wall, just because they can't maintain that. So I'm blown away that the thing hits 248 miles an hour. You know what I mean? Like, the fact that it keeps pushing, and it pushes hard, because look, a half mile is done in just under 13 seconds, 12.82. A mile, 20 seconds. So I'm trying to do the math. I mean, you're already going fast, but it doesn't seem to be falling on its face, which is super impressive. Yeah. Let me see what else. I guess that's about it. Your standing mile, 20 seconds. From a stop to a mile, 20 seconds. I mean, 20.6. I guess we need to be precise because we're talking about records. 20.62.
Here's one. 0 to 250 miles per hour, 21.89 seconds.
So, okay, we can say it's basically hitting 200, almost 250 miles an hour, well, hold on a second. Let me think out loud. 250 in 21 seconds. Okay. Yeah, it's hauling ass.
A little over a mile, it hits 250 miles an hour. Just a skitch over a mile.
Yeah. I'm trying to do the math and I can't do it right now. I'm trying to think of who knows. I would like to know what speed it's hitting in a half mile, and how it holds up to some of these built half mile cars. But
12 point. All right, so it does a half mile in 12.82 seconds. It does 0 to 200 miles per hour in 10.86. So it's going over 200 miles an hour in a half mile. That is getting it.
It is, but not with some of these built half-mile cars.
Those are built half-mile cars, though.
Internal combustion cars are probably pulling hard by that point. And I wonder if this car's hitting a wall, but who knows? I don't know what the personality of the thing is. Does it rip hard to 200 and fall on its face? Who knows? You can watch a video. If you guys go to, I'm trying to think of the easiest way to do it. Go to our website, and it'll be up there at least for the next couple of days near the top, or else you can search, Rimac, RIMAC, and there's a video on there where he does the full pull. So you watch him go, the full 30 seconds from 0 to 248 back down to 0, and it's no slouch. Now, here's the thing, though. It's not exciting either. I got an old school buddy, man. He's older. He's into cool cars and motorcycles. He's the type of guy that drives a motorcycle from Florida to, Alaska and back. And he was like, if a car's going to be breaking records, it needs to be dangerous. And this guy, they're test drivers eating ice cream. Literally, you can watch in the video. He's eating ice cream. Like, for it to be breaking these kind of records, it sure wasn't exciting.
Yeah.
It was kind of unclimactic. You know what I mean? Like, I wanted to see the cameras falling off their mounts. I wanted to see fire. I wanted to see, all sorts of stuff. And it just goes just like every other one does. And then he goes, and that was it.
Yeah. Well, I mean, you've got a couple different things at play here. First of all, every single record that it broke was straight line stuff. It's either straight line acceleration or straight line braking. There's no turning involved in any of the records that it took on today. On top of that, that's just what they were there to do, man. That was like it's an EV. It doesn't spit fire and make cool noises. It's not an internal combustion engine. There's no gears to shift. There's no excitement. It's just an RC car that we can fit inside of, basically.
And that's, I mean, people are always trying to, we always get the people that try and justify, the progress is progress and the technology and all this kind of stuff. And I'm like, yeah, but there's something missing there, right? And if you have to explain what that is, don't bother, because they're not going to get it. We're just different souls. But like, there's an appeal of like man slaying the dragon, man breaking the horse, man conquering the machine, man climbing the mountain. It's a victorious thing. But the future that we're seeing now, and a record's a record, and it's breaking the record, but it's different. This is not man conquering machine. This is equivalent to the military using drones. Like, it's just not exciting. Like, their test driver goes, yeah, I mean, we can break these records while I'm eating ice cream. Then why do we need you? Like, you're not the pilot of this car. You are the passenger that gets to be in this car when it's breaking the record. There's just something inherently, look, there is a universal truth of what cool is. This is fast. This is not cool. And again, you either get that or you don't. You know what I mean? You're going to fall on one side or the other. It just sucks that the people that they're argumentative. You know what I mean? A lot of times the people that want to, the EV people, they just want to argue this stuff. And it's like, man, I can't argue with you because a record's a record. Like, congratulations, your car is fast, but you're missing it. You know, you guys are missing the whole thing. And I guess you can't stop technology and you can't stop progress. But I just feel like we're living in a weird time. You know, like, is this car going to get into the blood of your sons? You know what I mean? Are they going to put a poster of this thing that's 4 feet long on their wall, like we all had the Countach or the F40s or whatever it was, the 911 turbos, you know, like, or is this just a really fast computer, you know, like.
And that's the thing. I understand that different people buy different vehicles for different reasons, but this thing, I mean, why would you really buy it? What are the reasons? You really, really like EVs. You really, really like blowing money on stuff that you're not going to drive very often. You really like the fact that the car owns a bunch of records and it's fast and it looks fast. But it's not a driver's car. Like, I understand that we are different animals when it comes to this type of stuff. But if I'm going to spend big coin on a sports car or even small amount of money, first thing it has to be, it absolutely has to be, is fun to drive. Second of all, it has to make me feel something when I'm having that fun driving it. I'm not a race car driver. Like, I might take a car on track every now and again, but I'm not a race car driver. I don't care about the records, to be honest. It needs to be fast enough for me to have fun and do some sketchy shit with my friends. That's really about it.
I want to hear it. I have to hear it. I have to feel it, like, in here. You know what I mean? You know how you feel it inside your body? Like, I feel like this is like driving a car with what's that chamber, those hyperbolic chambers, where it's like void of everything.
Yeah.
Just the trees, and you feel the G's, but there's nothing. It's just, you know, like, and I that's why I don't think I care. Like, we should all care about this a lot. And I think people are just like, okay, neat. Now, not to mention these things I think this thing's $2.2 million and they're only making 150 of them. So is it even a real thing? You know what I mean? But it's a street car. And I would be willing to bet that it has really gentle manners. I mean, I bet you can get in this thing at 2 a.m., fire it up, not wake up your neighbors, and drive to the Waffle House completely calm.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? Like, I think it's probably got a passive comfort mode. And so, you know, it's not, but is that cool? I mean, damn, if you're spending $2.2 million on the best of the best hypercar, do you want to be able to just drive it to Waffle House and be quiet and zone out and talk on the phone on Bluetooth? Like, that shit's lame. Again, they're just I guess maybe that's why there's flowers of different colors and we're just not that color flower. But I am happy that, you know, whatever, it's not another dumbass crossover EV. At least it, you know, it's passionate.
Mm-hmm.
Not the same way I'm passionate about cars, but it's passionate. All right, enough with that damn thing. I did want to talk about, and this was something that I just looked at. before we got on here, but Toyota is speaking some truth again, like they always do. I'm trying to figure out where that article is. Basically, they're saying what we already know, which is that, hang on one second, there's not enough resources to go full EV. And by EV, I mean BEV, like fully electric battery EV. But they seem to have a good take on it. I think it was one of the Toyota scientists. This was not Koji. This was not Akio that was saying this. But he was like, there's not enough resources to make this work. Not everybody can have an EV. And if we continue to demand that we're going full EV by 2035 or whatever, he's like, all you're doing is forcing people to buy older, polluting internal combustion cars because, one, they can't afford the new ones. Supply and demand, if there's not enough, they're going to be too expensive. And instead of being able to buy a newer, cleaner internal combustion, our governments are wiping that off the table and saying, nope, it's EV or nothing. So, like, we're going to be driving our old polluting Chevy trucks for a long, long, long time because there's just not enough infrastructure or resources for all of us to be able to buy EVs at all income levels and do this affordably. And so what Toyota is saying is what they've always said. We need to explore other avenues like hydrogen. Oh, and by the way, there's a hybrid. Why are we skipping over, like Toyota pioneered the hybrid, man. They've got this. And a hybrid can reduce emissions a lot if that's the kind of thing that you care about. And it doesn't take nearly as much battery. And often the emissions that it's reducing, it's using the battery in stop and go traffic when you are kind of dumping emissions. So again, I don't know what you think. I think Toyota's continuing to speak the truth. I think that they are professionals. I think that they are very, very wise. Even amongst other wise car manufacturers, they stand out as being some of the wisest. And I think that people need to start listening to the smart people in the room. For some reason, we are not listening to the wise people in the room, and we are listening to propaganda, and we're listening to agendas.
I mean, I get the whole EV movement, but most of it is absolutely just propaganda. I mean, as far as resources, like, there's not enough lithium out there, and we can't mine it fast enough on top of that to try to do what they're trying to do within this timeline. That's one gigantic, it's not even a hurdle, it's a flat out roadblock. We can't do it. We do not have the tech to even do that portion of it yet. Now, on top of that, these things are having problems right and left because it's technology where, I feel like this is the same thing with doctors all the time. Just tell me that you don't know. I would rather you say we don't know what we don't know instead of just lying to my face, making me pay for the lie, and then being like, shit, sorry about that, buy another one. It's all bad, man. And you're 100% right. I like the way that Toyota does it because they look at it with the thought of compromise, of because we don't know what we don't know, and because everyone is not ready for EV, and this is too expensive, and it's technology that not everybody understands, and not everybody has the infrastructure, not everybody has the charging ability. We need to look at other things that work for everybody else instead of just the people who have the perfectly carved out EV, because let's face it, full on battery powered EVs do not work for, shit, man, let's be honest, probably at least half of the population of the entire world, probably more, So what are you going to do with everybody else? You're exactly right. We're all just going to keep rocking old Corvettes and trucks and shit like that. And we're going to be out there in our V8s and our sports cars having a good old time. And everybody in their Teslas and everything's going to be just looking at us thinking like we're the Neanderthals. But the fact is, it's because it's unobtainium. It's not there for everybody. Yeah. It doesn't make sense for so many people. And because of that, it's just, it might as well not even be real life. Like, and on top of that, they're just, God, man, they're just boring. They cost a crazy amount of money, and it's not something I would ever spend that kind of money on. So
yeah. like, you guys need to listen up, because like what EVs are doing, they're taking away the entry point into owning a new automobile. Like, they are raising the cost of automobiles. And if you don't believe me, look it up. We're at record high costs for automobiles. You guys have to know this. Like, look around at people driving EVs. It's not necessarily just people that care about the planet. It's people that want you to know that they care about the planet, and people that make 100 grand or more a year. You know what I mean? Like, it's affluence. It's what it is. It's it's this era's
It's a flex, and it's a big old flex.
Yeah, it's like this era's yuppie flex thing. Like, it's so Toyota's right on point here, like they always are, and they get criticized, you know, by the EV nation, whatever you want to call it, for being behind the ball. And it's like, you guys need to stop pressuring, man. Like, you know, EV people overall are not car people. They're not. They don't know much about cars, and they need to realize that. They need to realize when they maybe need to back off. They are trying to push a major automotive manufacturer into EVs when it might not be the right move for everybody, you know? And so, you know, it does. It starts to turn around on itself. And it's like, well, if you care about your fellow brothers and sisters being able to afford transportation, we have to talk about the reality that we're not ready to go full EV, and that we do need to compromise. You know, but that's both sides. Maybe we need to say, all right. Maybe we need to look at emissions, stop cutting the cats off all of our cars or whatever, you know, like, and at the same time, though, they need to realize how good a modern internal combustion engine is. And they also need to realize, while we're on the topic, you can tune a car and get more power with less emissions. You can make a car, you know, ecologically better and get more power. It's not one or the other. If there's one thing that we can learn from social media, Jesus, not everything is black and white, one way or the other, right or left. You know, it's just, these are complicated issues that need to be approached wisely, like Toyota is doing. We're going to get in a situation where transportation is not available to all, at least private transportation, if we're not careful.
That is true. And this is the big problem that happens whenever government gets involved with something that is beyond their scope. It's within their reach, but it's beyond their expertise. Perfect example. You just mentioned it, but you glossed over it really, really fast. You can take a brand new vehicle, and throw a tuner, some tuning software on it, put it on a dyno for 2 hours and tune it, and actually make it make more power and run cleaner and get better gas mileage than it gets from the factory by just doing a little bit of work.
Yeah.
That's mind-blowing. Why aren't the cars coming like this straight from the factory? Well, because they get in trouble by the U.S. government if they do a bunch of stuff like that, to be honest.
And I'm probably saying stuff we shouldn't say, so I won't name names, but we know a tuning company that took a car, a brand new car, put some bolt-on stuff on it, threw some tunes on it, made it run faster, made it run cleaner, presented the data to the powers that be, and they said, put this back to stock or we're shutting you down. We don't care what the data says, because it's not about being green. It's not what this is about. This is about something bigger, most likely a transfer of power and wealth from big, nasty oil companies to big, nasty whoever's next in line.
Electrical companies.
Yes. And if you guys think that your charging is going to be free or cheap the second that EVs own 51% of the cars on the road, you're a fucking idiot. And you should learn from the likes of Cable, Redbox, and what we can go on and on. All the cheap stuff that comes out for $4.99 a month until they control it, and then it goes to $14.99 a month overnight, and then $32. Guys, you got to.
Because you have no other choice at that point.
That brings up another point that I made in our actual article on the website about that Rimac, competition is the key here. The reason this car probably exists to a point is because it's competing with internal combustion. These guys want to show that they can do more than one internal combustion. Those records that they broke came from internal combustion cars. Kudos. Like, competition makes both better. What we need to do in this time, 2023, is let internal combustion compete with EV. They will both get better. In the process, we will build the infrastructure for the growing EVs without just putting a time of death stamp on internal combustion, and eventually one will prevail. Or, like I said in my article, maybe not. Wait for it. We could live in a world where both could be there because they both have different attributes that are good. You know what I mean? Like, just because we have EV now does not mean that we need to throw out internal combustion. Just because one is zero emissions does not mean that the other is killing the planet. And then you're ignoring the whole production side of what it takes to make an EV and the ugly side of that. That's what I mean. This isn't black or white. You know what I mean? I don't know. We just need to start thinking a little bit more logically here. Because we're setting ourselves up for trouble. And the wise people in the room, the Toyotas, keep saying it. And instead of going, hey, should we like fact check that? Is there something to that? They just say, you need to get rid of your CEO and get a new guy in because we don't like what he's saying.
Yep.
It's like, wait. You don't get to not like it. Like, what he's saying might hurt your feelings, but there is truth to it. We need to start acknowledging that. So.
Yeah, I mean, this is the push. This is the big push. So we've seen this in so many different ways, man. Once they kind of set their sights on something, it is blind, reckless abandonment, toe the company line, and that's what it's going to be. And I don't care what you have to say or do. That's what we're going to push, and that's what we're going to make happen. So yes, you guys are correct. EV is the future, not necessarily because it needs to be, because it's I mean, it's just going to get force-plucked into place.
And look at the proof. Going back to like the affluence level and what it's going to cost to buy a car in the future. Look at the EVs that are coming out. A lot of them claim that we're going to make a $30,000. It comes out at 60. You know what I mean? Like all of these cars are like 60 plus. You know,
well,
all of the startup.
Preparing for that, and you can tell with their pricing structure. Like, there's no doubt about it, guys. We're in a recession. The economy is not great right now. The stock market's pretty much dropping every single day. We're in a recession. People are holding onto their wallets, and normally when that happens, and interest rates are way up too. They're over double what they were a year and a half ago. And typically when that happens, what's supposed to happen is company goes, gee golly, I really need to get some sales today. We should drop the price on stuff and get people to buy these. But they're not. They're just keeping the prices high. And it's almost like collusion, because normally one would lower it and then the other one has to lower it to keep up. But it's almost like they're all saying, hey, guys, when EV does actually become the real future, and it's 2035 or 2030, whatever year they're targeting, and these things come out and they're really expensive because it costs us so much more to make them, we can't all of a sudden have this magical jump that says entry-level price of a car on is $35,000. Oh, crap, now they're EVs, now it's 65. That can't happen. So what they have to do is just bring the price of cars in general up together. So they're all colluding with each other and basically saying, shh, don't tell anybody, but hey, all cars, gas-powered EVs, everything's going up. Used cars, we own that market now too. Make them all go up, so when the EV switch finally does happen and our costs are through the damn roof, it's not some shock to the system of how much cars all of a sudden are. It's just the way it is. Cars are just that expensive, and it has been for 10 years.
Well, the way the automotive industry always has been is like supply was plentiful, higher than demand. And what they're doing now, probably because EV resources are not going to be plentiful, they're lowering supply. So they're not going to make as many cars. And the cars that they do make are going to be high-end cars. So then what happens when you can't, we're going to have a transportation crisis of sorts on the horizon where people, in middle class and below that can't get to work. We're going backwards. We're going back to public transportation, and look, man, sorry, this stuff is being foreshadowed right now. Look at the EV startups that are coming out. Look at Lucid, look at Rivian. They're not making affordable cars. That's the difference. These guys are all targeting affluence. They're all making six-figure cars. Nobody's doing the Henry Ford thing, right? Like the EV movement, nobody's saying we're going to bring, the EV to everybody. I mean, GM says it in their marketing, but I don't believe a damn thing they say. Like, you know what I mean? GM's routinely talking about, we're going to make affordable EVs. Okay, here's the Hummer. We're gonna make it affordable. Here's the Cadillac. Like, no, you're not. You know what I mean? Like, no. Yeah, it's like you said. We're training people to see cars in a different value now. So yeah, I think that's the foreshadowing. Look at the cars they're making and who they're making it for, and that tells you what you need to know.
Yeah, 100%, 100%.
All right. You know what's gonna happen in close? China's going to come in. China's going to come in with their little Geely or Geely and their BYD, and that is going to be your entry-level car. So if you can't afford a six-figure car, you get a Chinese car.
You'll order on Amazon. There'll be no dealership. They'll bring them over thousands at a time on container ships. You'll have to go pick it up at the port.
Yeah, we laugh, but I can see that freaking happening, man.
Yeah.
Oh, God. You'll be like, what color? Yellow, out of stock. Dang it. Like, you're going to be 7 cars that are all the same with different names on it.
You're not wrong, man.
All right. Well, I guess that's about all we got. Right?
That's it. If you guys like what we're talking about here, please, please, please check out the app. I'll love you forever if you check out our app. Just go to your app store, Apple, or whatever, man. Just type in S3 Magazine. We're right there. We got all sorts of awesome content. We've got our podcast. We've got car features. We've got other little news stories, all sorts of stuff. Please check it out.
All right. Thanks, guys.
Take care.